So, Lizette, what impact has the decline in giving had on racial ethnic ministries and congregations?
What impact? In reality, I was talking to some of my colleagues that we don't realize that the churches, a local church will not be interested in working with racial, ethnic, or people who are different to the church, unless there is the leader, unless there is resources, unless there are people who are interested in intentionally reaching out to people who are different to them. So when we don't receive enough resources, the groups that is more affected in the local church and in the denomination are the racial ethnics. We represent 10% of the denomination in the United States. That says that we need to work more of trying to reach out to people who are different to us. There was a time in our denomination that we created that as a priority, the racial ethnic local church priority. And there were some monies that were invested on that, but we still have a lot to do. The good news is that racial ethnic ministries are growing. Believe it or not, the non-racial ethnic are going down while the racial ethnics are growing in our denomination. We still need to do more. It is extremely important to pay attention to racial ethnic ministries as we try to grow the church. And if there is less resources, usually they look at the racial ethnic groups because that's a way to reduce. We spend intentionally in our denomination around $12 million for the national plans for racial ethnic ministries. That is money that have helped us to grow in our denomination. And sometimes people say, why do we have to have these national plans for the racial ethnics? Well, there's a lot of things that we have been able to do because we are going in different places that there was no racial ethnic ministries at all. And there are racial ethnic people in our nation that we have to preach the good news. They are there. So we just have to make sure that we are not a church that is only for one group of people, but for all people. Because at the end, we are called to preach the good news to the whole world and all the nations. So I'm hoping that people understand the importance and the role of the denomination and the funds for racial ethnic, the importance of the national plans, and the importance of the national agencies because they pay attention to the racial ethnic programs as well.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
I think she's answered the question about as well as can be answered. I very simply, there needs to be an understanding that if there are fewer dollars coming in, everybody's going to get less money. Some of those agencies and entities that are smaller truly count on those dollars a lot more than some of the larger ones. So they're obviously going to have a greater negative impact if they're not getting as much funding to do what needs to be done.
I would like to add that if it's not because of the funds of the general church, I would not be able to be in my local church. My local church now is a Hispanic Latino church reaching out to others as well. And it is because of funds from the national plan of the National Plan for Hispanic Latino Ministry from GBGM, funds from the conference and the district that are allowing me as an elder to be a pastor of that church. And if it was not because of these funds, we would not be able to reach out to the Hispanic Latino community. My mother was the founder of that church, and we are celebrating 30 years of Hispanic Latino ministry in that area at this moment. And it's because of funds that comes from other churches. That's what the apportionments and share giving is all about. Churches that have the resources put it in a collective fund, and then it's distributed to the churches that needs the support in order to move forward. That's a giving, the most important piece of giving.
I'd like to offer a comment, though, on related to the topic, but from a little different perspective, which is our assumptions. And we need to be aware of the fact that there are many ethnic churches that are extremely make extremely powerful statements about who they are with their own sharing. Two of our most powerful churches in the Mountain Sky Conference are a Korean American church in Colorado Springs and a historically black church in Denver. They are well off economically, and they share their resources with the rest of the conference joyfully, willingly, and so consequently, the perception that that funds flow only to ethnic and minority churches is not totally valid. Funds come back from them, and they share that with the rest of the connection.